Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Monday the 30th of April 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the political news. So there's one big story which is coming through today, and it will probably be continuing through the whole of this week, and that is that Amber Rudd, the Home Secretary, has resigned. She in fact resigned last night. She sent her letter to Theresa May, and Theresa May in Downing Street accepted her resignation. In her letter, it's very clear what she says is the reason for resigning. I feel it is necessary to resign because I inadvertently misled the Home Affairs Select Committee over targets for removal of illegal immigrants during their questions on Windrush. So the key word you need to know here in terms of why Amber Rudd resigned was inadvertently misled the Home Affairs Committee. This is important because she's not necessarily resigning over Windrush and the Windrush scandal, which we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. This was about how she inadvertently didn't say the correct information at the Home Affairs Select Committee, giving the impression at least that she did not really understand and have a good grasp of what's going on inside the Home Office, and particularly what's going on inside the immigration procedures happening under her watch. Now, she further said, I've reviewed the advice I was given on this issue and became aware of information provided to my office which makes mention of targets. What she's particularly talking about here is she said she didn't know anything about any targets the Home Office had with regards to deportation targets regarding immigration, particularly illegal immigration. That subsequently turned out not to be true. And then there's been further revelations coming out, further material showing that Amber Rudd definitely had at least seen and written letters and been part of memos where targets had been mentioned, aka evidence which irrefutably says it's very highly likely that Amber Rudd did know about targets, or at least has been aware of targets whilst Home Secretary. Now, the letter emerged in which Rudd had written to May in January 2017 in particular about the targets. That came out in The Guardian and perhaps was a trigger for why Amber Rudd decided to resign. In terms of what this means in terms of politics, this proves a massive headache for Number 10 and particularly Theresa May. Who's going to replace Amber Rudd? She was helping to balance out the cabinet, particularly in senior places in terms of gender. She was a very much Remain voting MP. She'd been very much the pinpoint of softer Brexit and being a more less ideological driven hard Brexit. She's now gone from the senior position onto the backbenches. Who's going to replace her? Will it be a Brexit or a Remain cabinet member? Will that tilt the balance in terms of the political dynamic of the Brexit war cabinet meetings and such like? And what's Rudd going to do now she's on the backbenches? How difficult is she going to be for the government, particularly in terms of Brexit? We all know that she is voted for Remain. She campaigned for Remain. What's she going to do alongside some more of the other backbench MPs who are perhaps trying to pursue a softer Brexit, specifically perhaps over something like a customs union? We don't know yet. That's something that's going to be a massive maybe problem, certainly in the consciousness of Number 10 going forwards. Labour are demanding today for Theresa May, the Prime Minister, to come forwards to the Commons to answer questions about what she personally knew about Amber Rudd's comments to the committee and what she actually knew. Whether that happens, we'll wait and see. But certainly there is more theatre in the Commons to go on about the Windrush scandal and specifically about Amber Rudd now as well. Next up, looking at Brexit, the DUP's leader Arlene Foster has criticised Michel Barnier, who's of course leading the EU Brexit negotiations, saying that Barnier does not understand the unionist position on Northern Ireland and is not an honest broker. So quite a significant attack there. Said that to the BBC political editor Laura Coombsberg. Barnier is just beginning his two-day visit to Ireland to meet various people, both the Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, and business leaders from both the Republic and Northern Ireland. It will address a meeting of an all-Ireland civic dialogue on Brexit as well today. Now, this is sort of reinforced with Arlene Foster's in the interview as well, that the DUP will not accept any deal where Northern Ireland is treated differently to the rest of the UK mainland. And that's specifically important in terms of the proposals regarding regulatory alignment and keeping Northern Ireland regulated with the Republic of Ireland different to the mainland UK. That's still going to be a problem. The DUP are not going to run with that, and they're not going to let that happen. Just shows the extent to which Ireland is still very much an unresolved issue. Saying in the interview, Arlene Foster said, his proposal of us being an all-Ireland regulatory scenario with a border down the Irish Sea simply does not work. No doubt more lines on this as Barnier continues his visit in the next couple of days. One more story then. Government is braced for a further defeat in the House of Lords regarding Brexit. It's an incoming defeat, at least very highly predicted incoming defeat on the EU withdrawal bill. Peers will vote on an amendment giving Parliament power to set the government's future course on Brexit in the event that Theresa May is unable to produce a good deal, or rather the deal which is made is rejected by the Commons and by Parliament itself. So in AKA, it would take away control of the Brexit negotiations if Theresa May and the government is unable to create a deal which is of sufficient quality. Effectively, what that means, as Keir Starmer, the opposition Brexit secretary, said, one of the most important amendments of the entire Brexit process, because it effectively means that Britain, or rather the government, cannot pull Britain out of the EU without a deal, because they lose the power to be able to create the deal in the first place if they are unable to broker one of a satisfactory quality. We don't know yet what the result's going to be. Highly predict it's going to be a defeat, but just keep an eye on that on the news feeds, particularly later on today. That's pretty much it for today. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest on what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and Twitter right here. But from me and all the team here at Core London, see you tomorrow around about 9 o'clock.